Hi guys, Geoffrey here. In this video, I'm going to show you why when the topic of divorce is brought up, especially if your wife has filed for divorce, that's really not the end, but really the beginning of the healing process. And be sure to stick around till the very end of this video because this is not going to be some BS advice that I'm going to give you just because I want to sell you my services, but there's a very good principle of why this is really the beginning. And what I often see is that people give up on the relationship way too early, on a very premature stage. And it's a massive shame because there's actually a lot of potential there for their own self-growth, but also for the relationship as well that they're missing out on, something very massive. And for those of you who are new to this channel, my name is Geoffrey and I help men in long-term relationships or in marriages with the right skills, with the right knowledge to be able to design a thriving relationship for yourself. So if you want more content on this topic, then be sure to subscribe to this channel and also click the bell button as well to be notified when I post new videos every single week. And before I begin this video, I also want to let you know that the free masterclass that we have on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up is still open. So if you want to join that masterclass or if you want to join our relationship survival program, then be sure to stay to the end of this video for the announcement on how you can join that. So to begin this video, I want to show you what most people's mindsets and how their approach looks like. So, we have over 1,000 applicants for our program every single year. And every time someone applies, most people, if not everyone, thinks that their situation is the most unique, the most difficult, the most dire, the toughest situation there is. And if I could summarize a lot of the things that people often say to me, they tell me, for example, oh, Jeff, it's too late because my wife already filed for divorce. She said there's nothing I can do. No matter how much I change, she's never going to change her mind about the relationship, about us. She's dead set on moving on. And so to summarize a lot of people's responses here is that if there is hope, if their partner says, let's work on it, let's work on the relationship together, I still see hope in the relationship, or if they see their partner's actions showing a glimmer of hope, then their motivation is going to be very high in terms of working on themselves, working on the relationship, very, very high. So that's when they would tell me things like, I would do anything, Jeff, to save my relationship, to better myself, because there's still hope here. But then a lot of people can sometimes do a complete 180 here, within just a couple of hours, really. From, I will do anything to save my relationship to, what's the point anymore? Because their partner tells them, you know what, don't waste money or don't waste time on this program or doing this, doing that, because I'm never gonna change my mind anyway. So when the hope is there, they're riding high, their motivation is very high, their dedication is very high, but once the hope is taken away from them, they dip, they can do a complete 180, and they feel extremely demotivated, very depressed, to really better themselves, to better the relationship, and so on. And so they're always riding this massive roller coaster of up and down of, I'm very motivated, I'm not very motivated. And as I'll show you in a bit, this is actually a very massive problem because this is actually the reason why you're struggling in your relationship in the first place, why you struggle to be a leader that can catalyze the change in your relationship, and why it's going to be very hard if you're tethered like this to really save your relationship in any capacity. And this brings me to the second point, which is what I call the tethering problem. And this is going to be a massive, massive problem. So let's break down here. What is the tethering problem? The tethering problem is simply when your happiness, your motivation for working on the relationship or going through a conflict and drive to thrive in a relationship and yourself is really tethered to either an outcome or to your partner. So here, if the outcome is good, if the outcome seems hopeful, seems possible, then you double down and you feel very motivated. But once the outcome looks bad, there's a conflict, a massive conflict happening, and it seems very hopeless, then that's when your motivation just breaks down and you lose all drive to do anything to save the relationship or save yourself even. And so the same thing happens here with your partner. There's the same tethering effect that happens here where if let's say your partner feels hopeless, your partner feels like there's nothing you can do, there's no hope for the relationship, then you also feel hopeless. You also feel demotivated. You also feel angry as well. Now, if your partner feels positive, she feels hopeful, then you also feel positive and you feel hopeful. Now, why is being tethered a massive, massive problem? So about 2 videos ago, we talked about this notion of the paradox of change in that, if you're struggling in a relationship, it's usually because you've done a lot of things to destroy that safety and trust over time. Perhaps you were controlling, perhaps a bunch of conflicts could have happened. Now, the paradox of change states that whenever you try to change your behavior, you try to change the way you speak, perhaps you're starting to ask more questions. There's going to be a dip here at first, where your partner will resist you. The external world will resist you. For example, if you start to ask more questions to change the way you speak, for example. Your partner will tell you, why are you sounding like a therapist? You don't sound like that. Why do you sound so fake? And again, in that video, I gave you the example of when I was trying to save my own relationship, right? Whenever I changed my behavior, my partner would just scoff and say, oh, you're right. This is not you. You can't keep this up. We'll see how long you keep this up. This is not you. You sound so fake right now. You know, every time you want to change yourself to go to the next chapter of your life, you're going to face the paradox of change. So if you want more information on what the paradox of change is, I'm going to include a link for you down below this video, or also at the end of this video during the end screen as well. And so here, once you understand the paradox of change, the problem with being tethered here is that when this dip happens, when this paradox of change happens, you're never going to be able to break through it. Because once your partner resists you, and she tells you, for example, as soon as you change that, hey, you sound so fake right now. It doesn't matter what you do to change. It doesn't matter what happens. I'm never going to change my mind. If your motivation, your drive is tethered to either the outcome or your partner here, then you are guaranteed 100% you're going to give up during this paradox of change. And this is why most people stay stuck in their cycle of failures, whether that's regarding saving their relationship or building a new career, building a new business, changing themselves, transforming themselves to become a different version of themselves. So that's the first really bad implication of what happens when you're tethered. You cannot break through that paradox of change ever. The second one is that, whenever you're trying to save your relationship, especially when you're trying to save your relationship alone, you're going to need to value the importance of consistency and momentum when it comes to breaking your partner's confirmation biases. And it takes a consistent action over a long period of time. So a lot of my clients, they stay consistent with the right process, with the right frameworks, with the right mindset for 3, 4, 5, 6 months before they really can break through that paradox of change that we talked about and battle through that confirmation bias of their partner. So again, if you're tethered, if you are not able to source your motivation, your drive for wanting to better yourself from within, but instead is tethered to either the hope of an outcome or the hope of your partner or the state of your partner or your outcome, then it's going to be very, very difficult for you to stay steady and consistent and gain that momentum over a long period of time, because it's going to be that up and down cycle like we talked about, especially when we pair this with that paradox of change again. So this is why people stay stuck in their cycle of failures and are not able to ever break through in their life. This is why failures fail, because of the issues, the conflicts, their partner feeling hopeless, and not despite that. So if you look at a lot of my clients, for example, they face very, very dire situations as well, just like you are. They face a very hopeless partner. They face a partner with very high confirmation bias against who they are. They face a partner that tells them nothing will change. No matter what you do, I'm leaving the relationship. But yet they're able to succeed despite this because they're untethered to their motivation and drive when it comes to bettering themselves. Now, the third reason why this is devastating is that, if you want to build a thriving relationship, we have to understand here, and this is discussed in the previous video, and that, thriving relationships, they're not the ones that avoid conflicts or do not have conflicts, but they're the ones that are able to turn the negative, the conflicts, the misunderstandings into positives. So if you're tethered to either an outcome or your partner's state of mind, then you can never break through this problem, and you can never turn that negative into positive. So let's say if an outcome is bad, let's say you're having some conflict, something bad happens in your life. Well, if your motivation is tethered to that outcome, then whenever you have a bad outcome, you're going to have a bad motivation as well. And a bad motivation to break through this outcome, this bad outcome, and turn it from negative into positive. The same way, if you're tethered to your partner and your partner comes home and tells you that she feels hopeless, then you're going to feel hopeless too, which prevents you from actually breaking through and turning that negative into a positive. Now, if you want more information on this phenomenon, on how the mechanism of how this one small problem can really expand into a massive problem over time, then you can check out my previous video on this topic as well, and I'll include it down below this video or also at the end of this video as well. But, when it comes to being tethered, the implications are really endless. But whenever you're tethered either to an outcome or your partner, then you will always struggle because of the conflicts, because of your partner's state of mind. While people who are successful, they succeed despite the same circumstances, the same problems, the same partner state of mind as well. And you can never be a leader to inspire success. You'll always be a follower here. So if you look at really good leaders in this world, if a leader feels hopeless because the rest of his company feels hopeless, because people don't believe in him, then he's going to be a very, very bad leader. By definition, a leader is someone who can source that strength, that motivation from within, despite what other people are saying, despite how hopeless people are, and they're the ones who inspire hope in other people, and not the one who is affected by other people. They're the ones influencing other people. So by definition here, if you're tethered, you can never be that leader. And you can lie to yourself all you want and tell yourself whatever stories you want to justify your choice of being tethered. So a lot of people say, for example, oh, if only my partner wasn't so difficult, if only my partner wasn't so whatever it is, XYZ, then I would have succeeded more. But the reality is that this is just an excuse for you being tethered. And you can lie to yourself all you want and tell whatever stories you want, but you have to understand that if you think like this, then the failures is going to be inevitable. Now, I want to expand on the implications of why being tethered is so bad by diving deeper into this paradox of change again. But I want to approach it from a different angle now to really make this hit home for you, and why when your partner wants a divorce or has already filed for divorce, this is really the beginning of your journey. So to understand this point, we need to understand what differentiates people with good habits versus people with bad habits. So there was a lot of studies done on this. But people with good habits and bad habits that actually do the exact same things when things are easy, when they're well rested, when there's no temptations present, basically when there's no reason for them to go into the bad habit. People with good habits and bad habits, they do the exact same things. The key difference lies when things become difficult, when hope is taken away, when they're not well rested, when there are temptations present. That's when the chasm between people with good habits and bad habits really start to show. The implication here is that it's not what you do. It's not the million things you do when things are hopeful, when things are easy, when there are no temptations present. But it's the one thing you do when there are temptations present, when things are difficult, when things seem hopeless, that defines your habits. And so to take this even further, the key implication behind this is that, a lot of people, when they're trying to save their relationship, they spend all day long, in the beginning at least, making promises to their partner about how they want to become the best version of themselves. They'll better themselves. I'll become whatever you want, honey. And I'll do whatever it takes to save my relationship. And they're trying to prove to their partner here how permanent, how real, how genuine their changes really are. But then, because of the paradox of change, because of confirmation bias, their partner will usually tell them, you know what? It doesn't matter what you do to change. I still want a divorce. There's still no hope. I won't change my feelings about you or the relationship. There's nothing really you can do. We're done. Let's just move on. And because they're tethered, once they hear this, they get instantly demotivated. They slow down, or even worse, they stop their journey of growth altogether. They really don't hold it to as high of a priority any longer. But what they don't understand here, again, is that when the hope is taken away, when the temptations are present, when things become difficult, that's actually when their genuine intentions, the genuine self, whether their changes are permanent or not, will really start to show for itself. Because if you back down, let's say your partner tells you that there's no hope in the relationship, and if you back down right now, it will just confirm to her that you're doing this for the short term. It will confirm to her that you're doing this for a bad reason, just to manipulate her into coming back. That you have no intention to actually do this beyond just a relationship for the sake of yourself, with pure intentions. You're doing this simply because you want to manipulate and trick her into coming back. Basically here, if you back down right now, she'll basically be calling you out on your bluff. And you're gonna show her that, see, I knew it. This wasn't real. This wasn't lasting. This wasn't permanent. So I want to end this video here by contrasting with you what my mental processes were and what a lot of my clients' mental processes are as well when it comes to going through this journey of saving their relationship right now. Successful people succeed despite hardships, while failures fail because of the exact same hardships. And people who are successful, they stay motivated despite things being difficult and hopeless. Well, failures get demotivated and keep failing because of the same difficulty and hopelessness as well. I want to give you a moment to really think about that and really sink in. Because, people who are successful, they understand that it's usually when their partner has really threatened divorce. They have filed divorce and have taken away all hope whatsoever. That's when your partner gets to really see who you are, what you stand for, whether your changes are real, permanent or not. And when we talk about fighting confirmation bias, this is when a lot of the fighting against confirmation bias really happens. And they know that partner knows that if, let's say, they threaten divorce and they take away all hope and you can still stay the same self, the same new self, you still want to become the best version of yourself, that it's going to be real, permanent, and genuine, because there's really no reason to be fake anymore. There's really no reason to latch onto anymore. There's really no reason to say basically that you're doing this out of manipulation or trickery, because there is no hope for that anymore. And this happens all the time in our program. Usually people spend months and months and months the work of building themselves, building their mindsets, building their understanding of the framework, shifting their identity, building their self-esteem. And all this time for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, their partner just goes downhill all the time and threatens divorce more and more and more and more. And it's not until the moment when they've filed for divorce, they've submitted the paperwork on their desk, and their partners finally see that, you know what, this guy's behavior is really not changing. That's when they really change their minds. And if you want to see proof of this, I want you to check out the testimonials page that we have, full of stories of people telling about their journeys. And in every single one of these stories, you will see that most of the time, their partner's minds change whenever they're in this massive dip, whenever they've already taken away all hope from the relationship from them, and when they see that even when they take away the hope, nothing changed, that's when they change their minds as well. So it's a massive shame when people give up way too early. When people tell me, oh, it's hopeless, I'm not going to buy your program, I'm not going to do this journey of bettering myself because my partner has given up. It's a massive shame because you don't understand that that's actually the beginning. That's actually the start of the journey, not the end. Now, I want to give this a massive caveat because a lot of you looking at this video may be thinking, okay, so if I need to just stay steadfast and become untethered and keep my motivation high despite my partner being hopeless, then all I gotta do is just double down on who I am and what I stand for and really just keep fighting with the same old processes, with the same old self that I had. That's not what I'm saying. So it's crucial you understand what the right types of changes are. So it's not about going to the gym, it's not about eating healthier, it's not about making more money. It's about, again, the 3 layers of change that we talk about in our masterclass. And what you need to understand here is that the point of divorce, when your partner has filed for divorce, that is really when your real and genuine self will show. So all it does is it just opens her mind up to who you really are, to who your real and genuine self is, what your real intentions are. That's all it does. It opens the door. When your door is opened, it will reveal what's inside you. You want to make sure that what's inside you at that point in time is the real you and the right you as well. So in our Relationships Rebel program, this is something that all our students have really mastered, the skill of being untethered. Having the right mindset so you can become untethered and source your strength, your power, your confidence, your self-esteem from within and not externally sourced. And once you're untethered, you can use the right mindsets, the right frameworks to be able to showcase the right changes and turn this negative into more of a positive and really show your partner who you really are today. And not only that, they also have the tools to make this change extremely rapidly as well, because if you're in a dire situation, time is of the essence. And this is why, if you look at any of our testimonials, any of our screenshots, any of our emails that we send, our clients are able to get massive success despite being in very hopeless and dire situations. You have to understand here that people do not seek my help until their situation is dire. So by definition, we enroll 500 to 700 people per year, and virtually all of them are experiencing a very dire situation, all of them. They're either on the brink of divorce, their partner has filed for divorce, maybe their divorce papers are signed and ready, and they're looking for help. So don't ever think that your situation is the most unique, the most dire, the most difficult, right? You have to become untethered to this and keep your motivation high to grow yourself despite these issues. So if you want to learn the principles that can allow you to be untethered, turn the negative into positive, and really show your partner who you are during this critical moment, then I want you to join me in my masterclass on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up. In that masterclass, I'll show you the exact process that all my students have used to rebuild their relationship despite being in very hopeless situations. And if you also want to submit your application for the Relationships Rebel program, you can also do this at the end of this masterclass as well. So if you want to join that masterclass, you can click the link above my head, or also the links down below this video, in the comments, or in the description box below this video as well. And if you're looking for a guide that can help you guide conversations better, lead conversations better, and understand one of the many frameworks that we have in our program, then you can also download the guide I have for you above my head or also down below this video. And finally, if you want to join a community where you can talk about your issues, discuss your issues, and a member of my team or myself and our community members will provide a response for you and get some clarity for yourself, then you can also join me in my free Facebook group down below this video. So in the meantime, if you found this video helpful or if you have any questions on this, feel free to leave a comment. I would love to hear from you and love your feedback on this one. And if you found this video helpful and eye-opening, be sure to like it. It really helps the channel out. And also subscribe to this channel for more content like this one. In the meantime, I'll leave you with these 2 other videos here with more skills, with more knowledge for you to be able to design a thriving relationship for yourself. For now, I will see you in the next video.